Super Saturday with me, Jeremy Harris, in studio talking to DHL Stormers head coach John Dobson. Dobbo, firstly, thanks for your time. It's a slightly longer, slightly more under the skin kind of an interview, but yeah, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. Thanks for you guys always doing what you do for us in the cause. Listen,
I mean, you and I are both manic Stormers fans. We can't help ourselves. You've got a slightly more manic tendency, but the fact is that here we sit for the second time going into a Vodacom United Rugby Championship final. And so as much as I will tell you, at the beginning of the season, I was going, that's got to be part and parcel of what me as a fan, that's what I'm expecting. Was that on the shopping list?
No. I think, as Duncan sitting here will agree with me, our big concern last year was that we couldn't back it up. That we didn't want to be in, with all respect to Leicester City, diddly bum bum and never seen again, and about to get rid. We were desperate because we felt that we clawed and fought and scrapped an Armani conversion in the semi-final, a Ruanel try in the last league game in the 83rd minute in Knechtli for us to get the shield. It felt like a big fight, the absurd heroes. So I thought, my big concern was we couldn't sustain it. And to my mind, some of this season, look, we've been luckier in terms of other results to be hosting this final. But in some ways, I think we've been better this season. More compelling. We won the South African Shield with 5 games to go by 15 points. So. Yeah, I was really nervous in the last off season, like I'm going to be in this off season coming up.
Listen, there was some footage of you. I was watching the highlights of, I'm going to get this right now, the semi-final.
Yes.
Obviously, I didn't see it live because I was in stadium, but I mean, I was watching highlights, and then there you were. The camera found you, and you were having stress. You were having anxiety.
No, it just when you play at Cape Town Stadium, you just feel like you've got everything to lose, because there's people, I know I've talked about this often, the people that sacrificed so much to come watch us, look, some of those tickets, 250, 300 Rand, there are not many Capetonians that got, if you want to take, you and 2 kids, it's over 1,000 Rand. There's a sacrifices made there, whether that's giving up on meals or books or whatever it is, transport. So you feel this sort of pressure, and but it's nice pressure. You just don't want to disappoint the Mensa, and that. So it's very, very stressful. It's really unpleasant. At the one stage, I saw that thing of me looking up at the heavens, just saying, "Gracias Dios, thank you."
Let me talk a bit about the fans. I mean, that would have been the sort of the back end of the conversation. But I mean, the fact you touch on it now, you feel like there's a responsibility to them. You feel like there's something that is owed to them, but now not only is there that kind of feeling, there's that kind of maybe responsibility that you take on, but you also moved home. You've taken them from a place at Newlands to a new place. I don't know, a place that has any kind of history to it, has any kind of attachment to anybody. I mean, is that a good or a bad thing? And what is your role in terms of getting them to start feeling passionate? This is my place. This is my seat. This is my stadium. This is my team.
Look, I think, first, the first thing is we do feel enormous responsibility. When we started this project a couple of years ago, and it was in those grim days of the virus, it was to make or get Cape Town smiling. And we've done, as I said, Dunks is sitting here, we've done a lot of projects, whether it's working with charitable causes, with going to train in underprivileged areas. The whole thing was our connection with the people. And they wanted to see 2 things obviously they want to enjoy themselves, but they wanted to see us win, and they want to see us play a style of rugby they resonate with, which I don't think we had right, say, 2 or 3 years ago. We're like the whole world is box kicking and all that. And now with the rugby that Marnie and Warwick last season all turn on, people relate to that. But there's now that, listen, you feed them and they want more. It's not they're not happy after. So that responsibility, like next year's going to be, we're going to have to redo it again somehow. Keep the band together. So that responsibility is there, and also because, and we are acutely aware of the sacrifice people. These aren't people driving in Jaguars to Twickenham, and in the car park in Barber jackets. These are the real people of the Western Cape. And as I say, they make sacrifices to be here. As regards Greenpoint, I don't get the same, where I sit, I don't get the same feeling, but everybody's telling me the vibe is amazing, incredible. I mean, I think the final could have sold out, I don't know how many times over, but a multiple, 5, 10. I don't know what the answer is, given our request for tickets. Yeah. So so I think there's something special there. The vibe is incredible. I think you made a good point now. Newlands had a past, and I love the past there, but not everybody had that, as we know. Not everybody had that experience,
exactly,
by any stretch of the imagination. And some people were excluded. A lot of people were excluded. A lot of people who support us now. And I just thought Greenpoint's got quite symbolic, because it's like in the nice area of towns where the Greenpoint Common, which is where rugby started, the Greenpoint Track, which is just across the road, it's got a massive history of non-racial rugby and and the World Cup and that thing. It just seems, look, I was opposed to the stadium being built because I'm a Nieuwelander, and I thought they should have bought it in Culemborg, which would have been easier. But no, it's just building. There's something special brewing there, which is fantastic.
And I mean, long may that brew continue.
I know where you're going.
I'm going to pause right there because I'll come back to that. Dobbo, we had a few of your lads in studio with us, and I mean, firstly, incredibly well behaved. Not, but I mean, what struck me was as they spoke. I mean, it was all people. There were some of them injured. They're not going to see action until next season, if they're lucky.
Yeah.
So there's a long layoff. All of them, smiles on their faces. All of them united in exactly the same direction. And I mean, I don't know what it is, man. I think that I want to suggest that there's something in the water. There's something in the water at HBC. There's something in the water that you give them. There's something in the water at DHL Stadium. There's something going on. Because I saw that look a little bit last season. I'm definitely see it every time they come into studio. There's a oneness. They're not maniacs, but they are completely focused. They know exactly what the way forward is and where it is, and they don't need to check with each other. They know how it works. Something's going on.
Yeah, I actually do agree with you. I mean, it's something we've worked very hard on, is the sense of belonging in our purpose and why we're playing. But I saw that clip, I don't know if Dunk sent it to me or you published it with Sazi Sunday. Now, Sazi's a guy from the Eastern Cape. He's been, he hasn't quite broken through as a mainline Storm. I think he'll be a Springbok one day. He's got a horrible injury. ACL is one of the worst injuries you get in rugby. A very serious knee one. And there you're right. He had that glint in his eye, and he was loving being here. And I just feel like the whole group, it's not easy because, we've got 55 senior contracted players. You can say probably at any stage, 12 of them are injured. So there are 20 guys every week I'm not choosing. And I mean, everybody wants to play the quarterfinal, semi-final, final. And 20 of them we're going to say, listen, you're not quite good enough. And I think there is something in the water that these guys seem to be wearing it. It's not perfect. I mean, some of the communication, I think we could make them feel better. We're not perfect, but it just feels that there's a unity of purpose behind it. And I think, we smile. The thing of getting Cape Town smiling is the players are understanding that. So it seems to be working. I think, certainly as a coach, we can get better with it. But I'm very proud of the way they support each other is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's funny when the conversation gets a little bit more serious. Then there's nobody's scared. Nobody sort of goes, oh no, I can't answer that question. They'll front up and they'll answer the question. But it was we had Salman and Ernie in studio. And it was almost like, well, you want captains? Here are the captains.
Yeah.
They understand the leadership group. They understand how it works. And you talk to those two gents. I mean, I'm really sorry that Ernie's going to be gone for the next 3 years. Be great for him, I think, in terms of his own growth. But I mean, you just get a sense of there's an understanding of the guys who wear the armband. I mean, I know there is none in rugby, but I mean, you know what I mean. The guys who wear the armband, and it's you want captains. Here we go. Here's the captains you want a captain's run. They can talk to whatever issues you want to talk to. So, I think that you've given them license. I think you've given them a space where they are able to flex.
Yeah, I think we do have a saying like, the lunatics must run the asylum at some stage. And but I'm pleased you picked up on those two, Jeremy, because like Salman is, I think he'll be the captain. As we go forward. Stephen Kitsy's going. He'll be in the front. Ernst is going. Maybe Dion will do a little bit, I'm not sure, but Saman. And that's just such a wonderful story. It speaks to the Stormers. There's Ernst, who's a traditional Paul gym boy, in the old Western Province rugby tradition. He's a marvellous leader. He's captained every team he's been part of, a quality individual on and off the field. Then his bitter rival school-wise would be Salman Marat,
Exactly.
Across the bridge, they hate each other, and that's the thing. Who's from a Muslim, and incredibly, to my mind, Paul, and those areas of Paul, are the new Stellenbosch of the old, that's so much passion in those, whether it's vineyards or gardens or all those clubs. And they're both these leaders, and they're such firm friends. And that's, my job is, they're so mature. I mean, literally the only job I've got to do is give them space. Look, it's quite nice. You ring up at Corne Cricket and say, Corne, will you go and have a coffee with Salman? And it's, they wouldn't have been the same page, but now they identify themselves as boys hires. It's not trying to get a Christian guy to meet a Muslim or a color guy trying to meet a white guy.
Exactly.
It's just a whole new paradigm of thinking that that they're not burdened with. And I'll just give them their space. They're quality leaders and people. I mean, all these guys. Look, my sisters are old and tired now, but these are the guys you want to marry your sisters. If your daughters is a better way of putting it out.
Dava, I want to suggest that you are not telling us everything. I think that you are deflecting to the team, to the players, to people like Salman and Ernie and all of the other, as you call them, lunatics. I mean, we love them, all of them. But I think that you have a particular role that you have played, because not for nothing are we now in back-to-back finals. I mean, I'll wait for other teams to put their hands up and tell me when they've been in back-to-back URC finals. It's fine, we can wait for them to give us their hands. Might be a really long wait. But I want to find out what switch flicked with you. What happened? I mean, have you changed from the John Dobson from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, to what we have got now? What has what epiphany took place such that you were able to assemble these group of guys, as you say, guys who maybe had no business going into the finals of these tournaments, and molding them, giving them confidence? I think of Amani Libok, who came into our studio for the very first time. I thought he was going to say a prayer, and certainly he didn't say too many words. But the second time he came in and he had that trophy, I think he might very well have prayed, but I mean, he was a different person, and it's not only for his teammates. It's not only his teammates who changed him. It's the exposure to conversation with you.
Yeah, I think probably the thing I learned. I used to think the team was all about the vibe, the fun, and the guys would go out together and enjoy each other's company and that. And I've actually realized over time that it's more about the sense of belonging. If a person feels safe and secure in an environment, that they can be themselves. And for them to do that, you need to know their backstory. And we've worked really hard. Achiever's backstory is just extraordinary. I know he's we see the flash and we see the offload and we see the fingernails, but his backstory is just incredible. Marvin's backstory is incredible. So if you take probably my thing was understanding that it's not actually the team having fun or drinking beer or whatever. It's actually about their stories and letting them be their heart, and they can feel safe. Because I think when you feel safe, your face lights up, you communicate, you can be vulnerable, you can express yourself. And when you're anxious, you just claw up. And I think that's probably been the epiphany for me, is to understand each guy's backstory. It's not perfect by any stretch. And the other thing which has changed with me is I used to be like an old school coach who I wanted to control everything. I'm telling you now, Jeremy, and I'm not the best technical coach. When I sit in that coach's box, Davy next to me and Rita are seeing stuff that I'm not seeing. There's one or two things I can see, but there's stuff there that I don't understand what's going on. So I'm not the best technical, but the best technical coach. And I think what is also a learning for me was to accept that. So obviously I try and stay up to it, but it was to say, before I used to obsess with, I want this 3 minutes of this at training and 6 minutes of the. Now Davy Snaven's pretty much running all the training. Rita, I used to breathe over him at every forward session. I wanted him to send me the plan the night before. This is what we're going to do. This is the warm up. No, sometimes I didn't even go to the forward sessions. So that was also been a bit of a growth. And so I think I'm focusing a bit more on my sweeter spot, which is trying to get the stories that you've told. As I say, Duncan helps me a lot. It's a work in progress, but I do think it's the killer app in rugby. People feel, or any professional sport, feel a sense of belonging and purpose. I've got this thing. There's three things: FMB, not FMB the bank, FMB, fun, meaning, and belonging. And that. So I used to be the think that team spirit was, look, to respect to some of our listeners, downing beer and the pig and whistle, that's team spirit. I think we've all evolved that's just fun. There's a thing called deep fun and deep meaning and deep belonging. And I think that's where we're evolving to, hopefully.
I mean, you are, I mean, we talk about coaching and we talk about your role inside this team. And I mean, I'd certainly recognize all of the other individuals that sit alongside you in that coach's box. And I've got a lot of time for all of them. But let's talk a little bit more about you, Dobbo. I mean, in terms, because I like it. Let's talk about...
Time's up.
Sorry about that. Gonna be late. Thank the call. The fact is that once, as you say, the South African Conference done and dusted with 3 or 4 or 5 games to spare. I've lost count, against really good opposition locally, against really good coaches locally. I mean, there's always, from a media perspective, we always hype up the whole, Jake and Dobbo kind of conflict. I mean, does this make you the best coach in the country?
By a mile.
Yeah, I think. I'm just going to post that right now.
The thing there's, look, you're going to think I'm being childish, but there's definitely we've inherited our nasty thing from soccer, which is this culture of the head coach. I do think I'm doing a good job with the Stormers at the moment. I can't. That would be false modesty to think we're not doing a good. But it really is a collective, but we sell the emotion. If we lose 2 games in a row, there's going to be somebody who's going to write, Dobbo's done his time, or it's out past his sell-by date, or those were the days.
You don't get to the quarterfinals or something.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very emotional, but there's just, fire the coach, or Jake, get rid of Jake because he's lost to me a few times in a row. I would suggest it's probably bigger than that, but I think I'm just being arrogant, and I think we are doing a good job at the Stormers at the moment. It's been helped a lot by us being left alone due to carry on with our own devices, and I think, as I said, I've got a real weakness. I've got many as a coach. I worry a lot when there's sort of political noises, so-called political noises, and that frazzles me. Or if I think my job's in danger, and that then I get distracted from the team, and the team feel that. And I think what's been good over the last year or two is connecting with the team properly, because I haven't had those issues. I haven't had somebody calling me off a training field to come and explain why I should keep my job.
Wow. Yes. Okay. I mean, the one thing as well that came out of a chat with the players was the fact that there's almost like a caveat that goes, despite the problems at the union, there's been the fact that you've been able to build this team and this winning culture. So I think that the players, just like you, are obviously aware and sensitive to it, and it affects them as well. It certainly does. Maybe also cause them to take their eye off the ball. But for some reason, as I said, something in the water, there's something that you're saying, there's something that the coaching collective is doing that is causing them to not to be too, they're aware of it, but they're not frazzled by it, to use your own words. I mean, this time constraint of yours might be real. So I mean, let me just get to another point that I want to make. We've lost players along the way. So guys step up and they move to other teams. I mean, and it's fantastic. Great for their development and growth. And we go, how are we going to survive without them? So I think of Warwick just off the top of my head from last season. I think of this season. I think of Kitsi just from this season. But I mean, they're going to. I mean, we just spoke about Ernie as well, also heading off for a couple of years. But yet we're able to fill the gap. I mean, with all due respect to all of those fantastic gentlemen, we're able to fill the gap. Can we fill the gap if you are enticed somewhere?
That's always the true test of a proper culture, is that when that, I'll give you an example from a playing wise, and again, I'm referencing Dunks, but he was very close to them. We had a lot of the season when Ruan Nel and Siabela Sonatla were injured, and they are like cultural superheroes. Like, their friendship, their energy, their professionalism, they're great in every respect, and they weren't in that team room for a long time, but it felt like they were there, and that's a sign to me of a really strong culture. I think, were I not there, it'll take somebody pretty unique to think. But I think we're getting to the stage where it's going to become, there's a Stormers way. Dave Vessels has come in and got involved behind the scenes as a sort of, looking after our pathways and stuff like that. And he's probably not somebody who's schooled in our way of working. But I can see how he's coming around. It's, I think it's going to subsume that's when I've done my job.
Yeah.
Whereas when I can say walk out, which I don't ever want to do, and they'll have to fire me one day, and I know that culture is going to stay the same. And I think we're getting there. I think that the coaches are working. I think we're there. I think we're almost there. But I say I don't want to be anywhere else. That's the truth. Yeah.
And what if higher honours come calling? What if you know that the change inside the SA Rugby is about to take shape at the end of the World Cup campaign, and so what if higher honours come calling?
Yeah, listen, I tell you, and I know you're going to sneer at me now. I tell you, I'm not good enough for international level as a coach. I think I think I've got those skills, and if the international team requires the skills that I've got, then yeah, I could do it. But I really genuinely want to finish this project that we've got in Cape Town. It almost feels like, Jeremy, now we've overachieved, and we've got to this. We're filling up it's fantastic, but I just feel like it's built somewhat, not quite on sand, on clay. If you know what I mean. There are our player pathway, our player welfare, our nutrition, our athletic development, all the longer term sustainable stuff is not in place. We've sort of busked and winged, and we've done a great job with it. But the irony is probably when we've got all that in place, we probably won't do as well as we're doing now. But it'll be sustainable. If we can fill Cape Town Stadium 6, 7, 8 times a year, at the moment we cannot. I can tell you now, if we'd been playing La Rochelle La Rochelle in the European semi-final 2 weeks ago and come back for a quarter-final, it would have been ugly. One of those things would have got really ugly. If we were playing the Heineken Cup final tomorrow, like Leinster, and then playing the URC final next week, something would have got wrong, So we just got to make our squad bigger. We've got we're going to do a private equity deal soon, and then there are going to be some nice names coming in, returning, and you can work out. But maybe some of the names you mentioned already. Who knows?
And Dobson, listen, just before we let you go, because soon I think somebody will come in and hand me a lawyer's letter or something. I'm not sure. But has it sunk in? Has it sunk in? I mean, I don't want to know what your strategy is against these Oaks. I mean, whatever they're going to come, we're going to play against them. Yeah. But I mean, I must tell you, I was watching that game, the semi-final, and I thought we were going to lose.
Yeah.
I went in there. I just had a funny feeling in my stomach even before the game started. I was anxious, and then we went far ahead to start, or we did a really good start of oh no, it's a bad sign. I mean, what is a good sign, Jeremy? Yeah. But I mean, has it sunk in? I mean, you are settled. Yeah,
the thing. But you're right, because every game, like I'm sitting before this final, I'm thinking winning it is just too good to be true. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. We don't deserve it. It's too good to be true. It's not going to happen. I mean, I said that before last year's one. But I was deep in the change rooms when the final, in the showers when the final whistle went, and I'll probably be there in this game. But so no, it seems too. It does seem too good to be true. It seems, but deep down, I think we're a better team. I think we're angry. I think in a funny way, them taking our unbeaten record, was a monkey off our back, and secondly, there's a little bit of sting in it.
There's a bit of payback coming.
Yeah. It's. I actually was thinking on the way here, I was going to tell the team. I mean, when I get to see them next week, they're not taking away our fairy tale. Yeah, it's our fairy tale, and they're not taking it away. So that's our plan.
I like it. I mean, as I said, the semi-final, I was anxious.
Yeah,
I was anxious, and even every time he scored, I was like, oh no, it's fine. They can still come back at us. I don't know. I was waiting for what is his name? Mike Adamson, the
hermaphrodite Scottish referee.
Wow, I mean, that guy. He tried to blow us out of the final last year as well.
100%. They also with Tupper phoned this week, in charge of referees, and said these are your options for because it has to be country neutral.
Yeah,
which means Welsh, Scottish, or Italian.
Yeah,
and he suggested Mike Adamson. I mean, my data bill had gone up about 500 rand by the time I stopped laughing.
Okay, so hopefully we don't see him.
I hope he's not in Cape Town.
I'm sorry, he's not going to get a visa. But yeah, as I say, anxious for the semi-final and yet calm, I feel, for the final. Because I mean, maybe like you, I feel like, no, you managed to sneak past us by 2 points the last time, and wow, that doesn't go down well here.
No, it doesn't. And there are a couple of personal battles there. Like that guys didn't really enjoy some of the stuff that went on in the last game. Marvin got involved in some stuff. Achis Neyman, John Klein, two good Irish
Marvin
locks.
got involved in something. I can't even believe that. No,
the boyfriend, good clean living boy from Belha.
Exactly. Goodness.
No, so and they took our unbeaten record. They don't enjoy Peter Omani at all. So I think it's going to be a little bit of fizz to it. And what people people don't realize or forget is that neither Dion Farine nor Evan Roos played that last game, and those are two for against that sort of opposition, two massive players. So that's quite exciting.
Yeah, we are very excited.
And also Mani, don't forget Mani didn't have his. Wasn't that Mani's bad? It was Mani's day.
He wasn't having a great time. He was on the field, but it was his day off. Listen, I'm going to hold you to this next thing. Is that just like last year? Win it in studio trophy.
Done. Is there a fridge?
There's a fridge. There'll be a very big fridge. Yeah. There'll be all sorts of extra chairs. In fact, maybe not chairs. Whatever. We'll just make sure we got enough mics for you guys.
Thanks for telling you. I promise you, done.
Yeah.
As soon as you want us, we're here.
No, that because that for us was almost as big as the conversation before the final and the final itself. My nerves had settled by them, and the only thing that was missing, as you say, were the cold frosties.
The relation with Heart's special, but you were there in the really dark days. It was the back of COVID. Remember, we broadcast from the top field there next to the caravan park. When we were selling 4,000 tickets for Ospreys in the first round.
Yeah.
So if we can't forget our friends when it gets to the when things have changed. So we'll be here. Thanks very much, Jeremy.
Dubbo, thanks. The boys keep reminding us that their job is to make Cape Town smile, and that's the way they play. And thank you to you as well for keeping us smiling, and all the best. And a little foot on another foot in the game, anything can happen. Who knows? It's an accident. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw what happened, and so be it. I'm not endorsing violence. I'm just saying it could happen. Dubbo, you're a beaut. Thanks very much, bud.
Jeremy, thanks very much. And thanks very much for everything. You guys have been the most amazing supporters and station and person to deal with. Thank you very much.
You heard it from the horse's mouth, and I would never call him that ordinarily.